So to break down real quick, if you aren't interested in that, you're kind of skipping around, you want to just get right to the end here. Basically, what we're looking at, use the claw grip. I really recommend watching my other PCI videos because I really think a lot of the principles still apply. But you're going to be using a claw grip to kind of slow your movements down, and you're going to sit a little bit higher, and you're going to snap down to the ball. You want to kind of be making last-second adjustments, focusing mostly on timing and getting out in front. It is so good to have you aboard with me. My name is Mr. Gravy, and welcome back to the channel. And if you read the title of the video today, we are taking a look at the super fast PCI that everyone's been talking about. I'm going to go through a couple different things I want you to take a look at, and we'll talk about how we can combat it. All that in this video. I'll try to make it short and sweet. And with that, let's get underway. So the very first thing I want to look at is putting it on All-Star. What I want you to notice is the PCI still doesn't really fully hit all the corners, meaning if you were to perfectly place a ball in that lower left-hand corner, I would not be able to reach it with the top part of my PCI. And for the most part, the speed setting really for this difficulty and less really doesn't change a whole lot. In fact, if anything, I think it's the same. Where you really start to see big differences is Hall of Fame and Legends, so let's take a quick look at that. Hall of Fame, the PCI is definitely quicker, and you can still get the PCI at least to the upper corners. However, the bottom corners still sort of have the same issue with the fact that the top dot PCI really can't fully hit that spot, but the PCI is notably quicker on Hall of Fame, so I'll help you kind of get used to that. You can also go way above the zone, which is something you couldn't do in the past. It still covers more than it did before. Unfortunately, I don't have a way to show what it looked like before, but it does actually cover both bottom corners a lot better than it did before. I think it's a huge plus, and I think the step up from All-Star to Hall of Fame in terms of the PCI sensitivity is not that great. So it's a lot more manageable, but we'll talk about techniques and stuff like that after I show you what it looks like on Legend. Here's how it looks on Legend. It's a way quicker PCI, but the big notables is that top power dot for, in this case, Tyler O'Neill, can hit the lower bottom parts of the strike zone with complete ease, meaning if you throw anything in the strike zone at all, it's definitely hittable. And what that actually does, too, is it allows guys to go outside of the zone. Look at how far outside I can go, and look at how far low I can go, far inside, far up. And what that does is your vision PCI, which is going to be the outermost PCI, and here showing the outer PCI, you can see it can get all the way down there, and it is one giant circle. So you're able to foul off more pitches. That's got both a give and take, but it's not what we're discussing in this video. The easiest thing you can do in this current state is to over adjust. So like a ball right here, right where my top dot is, can be a lot harder to hit than a ball in this corner. It's a lot easier for me to smash my PCI in the bottom left-hand corner and hit something than it is for me to guide it into this lesser part. But I think it's a give and take because the PCI is so much quicker, it doesn't require as much movement. So how do we manage something like this? I use a tall control freak. So I do a claw grip, take my pointer finger, I put it on top, I put my thumb here, and I kind of control it like this. My thumb is actually kind of guiding, but this serves as a barrier. Like I'm not going to be able to yank it too far in any direction. Number one thing I'm going to be focusing on period right now is getting out in front of the ball. It's better to be early than anything else in this game. It's been like that for a while. In the past, I'd say it's really not that bad to be a little bit later, and you can kind of hit opposite way a little bit more this year. But right now, with the current state, I would just stick to being as early as possible while trying to time the pitches as best you can. If you can get perfects, obviously that's great, but the idea is to get out in front of the ball and get some lift on it because you're hoping for your maybe mediocre PCI placement to get outweighed by the fact that you hit the ball early, which created more exit velocity, you got it in the air, and maybe it flies out. Another point to this too, and I've never been this kind of player, but unfortunately I think right now it's probably best for you to play in a place like Ship It, a place like Laughing Mountain, Coors Field, maybe a created field with high elevation, because right now I think the best way you're going to have a chance to win games is to out-hit your opponent. Because the PCI is so far out there, it's a little bit harder to nibble and pitch as effectively. Not saying you can't. A lot of people overshoot with their PCIs, but I'm talking about if you're at a decently high level. I'm talking, you're in that 700 to 900 range consistently, or you're above 900. I think it's really important to focus on your offense more than anything. So unfortunately, that for most people means you need to pick a ballpark that you can really send the ball out of, because I'd rather get a home run on a pitch that maybe I didn't have the best PCI, maybe I slightly overshot it, versus getting punished on a good PCI, but because my ballpark's too big, I'm not getting runs, and now I'm making mistakes later on, and it kind of snowballs. And before you know it, you've put up 1 run on 10 hits, and that's not good when your opponent's put up 3 runs on 2 hits and an error. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of got to play to the game's strengths, and you kind of got to flow with the meta, and I think this is a way to do that. So for me, another really big thing I've done with my PCI is I've kind of just foregone. I used to kind of be a middle to low PCI sitter. I like to come up on the ball, but I find because it's so sensitive, I can't readjust as well. So what I've kind of just done is sat up here. I'd rather just get beat up high at this point and kind of adjust downward. I know that I barely have to move my PCI to get to that ball, for example. So when I see a ball kind of come in middle, I just sort of let my thumb drop it down, right? And yeah, it does cause me to get beat a little bit more upstairs. If someone is gunning up and in and I'm not looking for it, yeah, there's a good shot that I'm going to overshoot this way, and I'm going to bring my PCI just instinctively. I'm going to shoot it down and in, or I'm going to bring it too far over. I'm going to pop up because I didn't adjust it properly. But I'm at a point where I'm willing, like that pitch, I'm willing to give that pitch up. And I know that sounds absolutely nuts, but I've had a ton of success this way. And what I've really done is at the last moment, I'm moving my PCI to the ball. So I'll show that real quick. Whether or not I hit this ball or not doesn't really matter. But I'm going to keep my PCI up here. And at the last second, I'm going to move my PCI down towards the path of the ball. And I can really get away with that more now than ever because it's so fast. It's so easy to snap to the ball. You can do the same thing by sitting middle. I just find that I tend to guess a little bit more middle, whereas I know I can kind of just come down on the ball versus the other way. So in this case, if you wanted to sit middle, it would probably look something like this. And you could just sit middle with that claw grip, just kind of jiggle. That pitch was middle, so I didn't even have to move it. But so you're sitting middle, and there at the last second kind of dropped down. Now that pitch looked like it was going to be lower. That would have been a pitch I popped straight up, and it's another reason why I don't like sitting middle, because it's so easy to misjudge, in my opinion, your snap. Whereas if you're up top, you have that much longer for yourself to snap into something. So I tend to just feel a lot more comfortable that way. That's kind of my way to go. So to break down real quick, if you aren't interested in that, you're kind of skipping around, you want to just get right to the end here. Basically, what we're looking at, use the claw grip. I really recommend watching my other PCI videos because I really think a lot of the principles still apply. But you're going to be using a claw grip to kind of slow your movements down, and you're going to sit a little bit higher, and you're going to snap down to the ball. You want to kind of be making last-second adjustments, focusing mostly on timing and getting out in front of the ball. So from a simple perspective, you want to be focusing on timing, you want to snap down to the ball, and you want to be early, even on outside pitches. So that's pretty much what I got. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, this update's pretty tough, and it's not easy to hit right now, and it kind of is what it is. We're just going to hope that they add a sensitivity slider. It would be really nice. I don't understand why you can't have the reach with the PCI and be able to set the speeds. It just must be something in the coding, probably something we'll see fixed next year, but I'd love to see something implemented this year, and I have a feeling that they probably will. So those are my thoughts on the new PCI, how you can adjust and be as good as you possibly can be with that. So I hope this helps somebody. If it did, please leave a like. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. Likes really help a lot. Comments really help a lot. So if there's anything else you want to see, let me know down below. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one. And as always, happy hitting.